Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of gojenn Podcast. I'm gojenn. How do you like the blue? I got brave with some spray in, so it's not actually dyed blue yet, but I wanted to see if I liked it. And I kind of do because now I'm officially a blue haired little old lady. I'm not so little, so I'm a big blue haired old lady. Can I be that? I'll try. How are y'all doing? Did you have a good week? I hope so. Um, I had a work week, nothing special. Um, but then yesterday, I went with my parents and my grandson, multi-generational trip to the Bedford Old Liberty Fair Fiber Fest. And so this was my second weekend in a row to go to a fiber festival. And I pretty much knew what I was looking for. Um, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, this is Knitting and Crochet Podcast. So first, what FOs do I have? Yay! I finished the Easy Peasy hat that is knit. It's a Knit Picks pattern for free. Um, and this is a child size. It doesn't fit me. I mean, I put it on, but it doesn't fit me. um, I did good until I got to the top to do my uh, crown decreases. And for some reason, one time I came back and picked it up to start knitting, and I started knitting the wrong way. I was knitting from the inside, so I had to take out, that was about 2 rows before I realized it. I had to take them out and then start again. So it kind of messed up my uh, decreases, but it's still a perfectly wonderful hat. I don't think anybody but you folks would even notice. I mean, it would take somebody who knows that this is not the way a crown is supposed to look. But anyway, it's a children's hat, and I'm going to throw it in the bin for Christmas presents, maybe. No, probably not for my grandson. No. Um, it made me really happy. This is made out of the Gnome Acres Lucky You, EWE colorway, and it is just beautiful. The greens and yellows. There's really no pooling or anything with this yarn. I didn't have any trouble knitting it. No splitting or picking or anything. I mean, it's just a great worsted weight yarn that I'm totally 100% happy with. And I'm happy with my hat. So yay. Anytime you're happy with a finished object, I mean, I know because there's sometimes when you're finally finished, you just go, oh, I'm so glad to be done with that. Ugh, I never want to say it again. Ugh. But this, oh, it makes me happy. Okay. 1 finished object. 2 finished objects. This is a sock yarn blanket square that I made using a mini skein that came, I believe, with my, I got a shipment of the Space Cadets mini skein package, and I think I only got it like 2 months, but I like that you can start and stop that at any time. So this was another finished object. Beautiful. All right. That leaves works in progress. Of course, my sweater's still in progress, but I didn't work on it at all this week. I haven't really worked on it since about the middle of March. Okay. Excuse me, I've got a froggy or something in my throat. This is my Elise crochet lace shawl. I think it's beautiful. It's easy to work on. There's a little star knits on Etsy. one of her stitch markers, and that is marking the center, because if you don't have that there, it's really hard. It's really easy to lose the center, and you have to trace your way back. But this is my shawl so far, and you see how wide it is, right? It's like one arm's length, which I guess is about 3 feet, and I've got this much more yarn. It's about half a skein. So I'm sure it's going to double, and I'm happy with that. As I said, I really am enjoying it. It's lace weight yarn. This is the Charlemont lace weight yarn from Webs online, and I really like it. I like the color, and it's lace weight yarn, but I'm using a size I apologize, a size I crochet hook. So this is not the regular size hook to use. For you viewers who you may not crochet but you knit, it would be like knitting some lace weight yarn on 8s or 9s. So you know that would affect the drape and the, how solid the fabric is, so I'm really liking this. This is crochet. It is not stiff and scratchy. It's very flowy, and it's going to be flowy when I wear the shawl. So, let's see. Last week I talked about, I had the hat and my shawl were my works in progress. So this week my shawl is my only knitting or crochet project that is in process. And let's see, purchases this week, stash enhancement, not really a stash enhancement, but I got the Fiber Guide to Fleece, because I'm a nerd or geek. I don't care which one you call me. I like to have a book about whatever it is I'm doing at the time. So I really like this book because I don't know anything much. I've heard of merino sheep and BFL, is that black-faced Leicester. So this whole book is full of different kinds of 100 sheep breeds and how to use their fibers. Now this helped me out yesterday when I went to Bedford, Virginia, to the Old Liberty Fair Fiber Festival, sponsored by the Lions Club in Bedford. You may, if you ever go to national memorials, my talking is not good. I'm sorry. The Bedford just recently, within the past couple years, opened their D-Day memorial. So I didn't get by to see it yesterday because I was with my mom and dad and my grandson. We went and I drug them around the festival with me. Basically, I drug around my dad and my grandson. Because my mom was interested in things, and my grandson, I tried as much as possible to educate, because that's just how I'm made. Because we saw the raw, unwashed fleeces in bags, and so I wanted him to see those, to realize that that's what came off the little sheep, and to feel the fibers, and to realize that you could feel the lanolin on your hands from the raw fleece, how neat that was. I said, can you imagine if somebody cut your hair and then they decided that they were going to take your hair and turn it into a hat? No. Gross. But we had a good time, and we were able to see fleeces in different different stages of progress. Um, I wasn't interested in getting a raw fleece and having to wash it and card it and flick it and all the things you have to do, pick out the veg matter and the poop. My grandson said, "You let me touch something that had poop in it?" Sure, no problem. So, my purchase was, this is the standard grocery bag, if you have grocery bags. Paper grocery bags, brown. This is 1 pound of Coopworth cleaned fibers. I think I was really happy with the price they had on it, and I've never worked with Coopworth. From what I've read in my handy dandy little guide, it's not as soft as merino, but it wasn't as expensive as the merino either. And I'm just learning, so I don't, I didn't want to start off with the very top of the line fleece or something, or fiber, and then you have nowhere to go but down. And plus, I really enjoyed talking with this lady. She was from, oh, I'm sorry, I have misplaced her card. I apologize very, very much for that. Because she was West Virginia, somewhere in West Virginia. And she and her husband were both, and see, this sack is full. And it is full of fiber. I will try to, I took a photograph of it laid out on the floor on a poster board for size, kind of, and to put in my stash in Ravelry. And so I was really excited with that. I like the feeling of that. And so now I just have to decide what I'm going to do with it. I'm contemplating doing a big project on the Harry Potter Knitting and Crochet group that involves working through that pound of fleece. I'm thinking of practicing my single ply, learning how to two ply. I haven't plied anything yet, so I'm sure I can do it. I've watched videos. People who grew up after, say, my daughter's generation, you don't realize how wonderful that is. Our only source of information was the library, and if you couldn't get to the library, because I live in a rural area, so the library's small and it has mostly romances because that's what people want to check out. But to have this information without, you don't have to go to an encyclopedia, an old dusty set of encyclopedias that you have. The information is right at your fingertips all the time. I love that. I truly love that. And I would love to know where things will be in another 100 years when my grandson is showing his grandchildren back the way he used to do it when he would hang out with his Grammy. Anyway, all that to say that I've watched some videos on plying, chain plying on a spindle. I think I can do it. So what I was doing this week, this is the rest of the 2 ounces of fiber that I got, I think, with my little Learn to Spin kit that I got on the Yarn Crawl. And that's been a month now. I'm just really pleased. Can you see? Oh, that looks really fat and flubby. But I'm getting better. Something a woman told me yesterday really stuck in my head, and I know it makes sense because, oh, great, don't do that. She said, I was asking her, telling her that my fibers were kind of chunky, and asking her what's my best option to besides practice. And she said, well, just remember your yarn can never be thinner than your fiber you're spinning. I hadn't thought about that, though. I mean, I know it makes perfect sense. I understand that is just a totally logical thing. But when you watch people who know what they're doing, you don't see them drafting out their fibers. But they're doing it, and they're doing it very finely. So if you can see, that's a very, very fine yarn that I have there, and it's very, I'm not afraid of it breaking. It's holding the twist. I'm good with it. And so it is. It's just practice, and I can't believe how much I enjoy it because there was an article I was reading online about how knitting and crochet help you be more mindful of what you're doing and of where you are, and to experience the moment that you're in. There's nothing you can do in this moment about yesterday. There's nothing you can do in this moment about what happens tomorrow. I mean, yes, you can make a plan. Yes, you can prepare. But that's all you can do. And you don't want to waste your life in the past or in the future. You want to live your life in the moments that you're actually living. And to me, the best example for being able to be in the moment is when you're in excruciating pain. You know what? When you are in terrible pain, and I hope you haven't been. I would really hope you have never experienced pain like that. I have. And I can tell you, you don't care about laundry, about meals for tomorrow. You don't care what happened last night. You just want to get out of pain. Okay? So I find that when I sit down to spin, I pre-draft. I spend a couple minutes pre-drafting, and that's just the motion of pulling the fibers apart when you can, so they will be finer. Okay, and that helps me get my mind out of everything that's going on out there. It helps me get my mind more centered on what I'm doing at this moment. Be in this moment. And I can tell you from my experience, and maybe you don't have a problem with this, in which I think you're a fortunate soul. But anytime I try to meditate or calm myself, I have a lot of difficulty with that. Meditation usually starts with being mindful of your breathing. And I can do that for about 20 seconds. And then I'm thinking, oh, don't forget, you got to get that stuff so you'll be able to make that recipe that you wanted to have for dinner in a week. That's not a good use of your time. Your body will really thank you if you can sit down and relax and be mindful of the moment. Spinning helps. I think I said last time that I think spinning is more zen in that you don't have to count, you don't have to worry about what row you're on, what stitch. You just have to make sure that the twist, the kinetic energy, goes up into the yarn, and you watch it. And you have to be present in the moment to do that. I think that's one reason I love it so much. Plus, it's so tactile. It's even more tactile than knitting and crochet, because for knitting and crochet, you're going through the motions of manipulating your hook or your needles or whatever with the yarn to make the stitches. With this, you're using your hand. You're using the spindle, but all the spindle is doing is holding the energy for you. The energy that you create when you flick it. Isn't that great? Oh, people. And yesterday at the Fiber Fest, I was looking at the wheels, and I was sniffing at the wheels, the spinning wheels. But I can't justify an investment like that right now. And I'm happy with the spindle. I just think the wheel would be a lot of fun. You get the cheap little car, and then you realize how nice it would be to have one that's got all the bells and whistles. So, but I'm very happy with my spinning. So that is in process. And I think I've mentioned before that I watched the Weasley Girls podcast. They also play in the Harry Potter House Cup, and so they're always talking about that. And they're two sisters, Star Knits and Naturally Knitty. And Naturally Knitty makes these rolags. I beg your pardon for me not knowing, but Rolags. And to me, it looks like some kind of sea slug. Ugh. That's when I see them, that's the first thing that I think of. Some sea slug in the bottom of the ocean. No? Okay. What this is a rolled tube of fiber. And this is from Naturally Knitty. She's on Ravelry and has an Etsy shop as well. And I've watched videos, and you just tease the fiber out of the end like that, like out of the front or the back end of the sea slug. I apologize, that's kind of gross. But anyway, and you use that to spin from. So I got this yesterday, that I joined her Rolag club, and so this was the first one. And can you see how many I got? There's like 14 in here. Wow! Isn't that great? Oh, and she sent me a little sea snail of a Rolag. I don't know, maybe I'm all in the ocean in my mind this week, but it's just a little colorful rolled Rolag that she sent in for a little extra. And so I'm going to have to think how to spin these, and it makes me really excited. I'm thinking that if I spin half of them, okay, if I spin half of them and I keep it the same, like green end to yellow end, because I could take the next one and turn it and put the yellow end here, like this, and have a longer color in the yarn, and then put a green one to the green end. You're seeing I have a double busy length, or I could just do this to repeat them. So anyway, I'm thinking about that, and my plan, I have a plan. My plan is to spin the yarn, half of the Rolags like that, in whichever way I decide, and then to take that half of the yarn, and take it off the spindle and roll it into a ball or whatever, and then spin the rest of the roll eggs the same way. And so that way when I go to 2-ply to spin from 2 balls, so I have 2-ply yarn, the colors should be the same, and I should be able to maintain my color repeats. That's the plan. And I had seen these on her podcast without knowing. I mean, it looked like a sea slug to me. But now to feel it, it feels really good, and it's got some shiny in there. Ah, gorgeous, gorgeous, and the colors. It's more of a. This is more of an olive green than you're seeing. So, but anyway, I'm really looking forward to that. So this week, one of the things I did was to put all my fiber in my Ravelry stash for a hand spun, and I just put it all in as fiber. And I have a lot. I have the fiber that I got with my Learn to Spindle kit. And that's that oceany blue kind. And then I got a bat of merino, which I got that at the Fiber Festival in Sanford last week. I got that grocery bag full of the Coopworth, I think. And that's a pound. And I got a little, I had ordered some from Elemental Fibers. That's a really pretty purple bat. It was some leftovers that she had. So I've got a lot of fiber. I need to be spinning more. And I now give myself permission to do that. There's nothing else here in my lap. What can I tell you about the Fiber Festival yesterday? My only purchase was that bag of fiber, and then I got my daughter a Learn to Spindle kit so that she and my grandson could learn. And so I taught them yesterday everything I know, which takes 5 minutes. And then the rest of it is just practicing and improving. So I'm just really happy. And last night I watched probably a dozen videos on plying and how to set the twist and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to all the wonderful things I can do with the fiber I have. Books. I think last week I was reading the third in the Harry Hole series by Joe Nesbø, and I was reading The Redbreast, and that was set in Oslo, Norway. And I really, I was about 30 pages in, and I was thinking, boy, this one's not going to be good. This is nowhere near as good as the last two. And I finished it on Wednesday because when I realized what was actually going on, because the book was written kind of just telling you what was happening, and no one was holding your hand to say, hey, this is going to happen soon, watch out. Excuse me. Bella. Thank you. Good girl. So you had to pick out for yourself which were the important clues in the story. She's guarding me, so I'm thankful that she is. So after I finished the Redbreast, I started on the Bees, which is Okay, just so you know that nobody was torturing anything or anybody. These are my two Maltese rescue dogs. And they want to be with me and not look at the camera. This is Lucky. I'm going to sign up for wrangling octopus because I think I can do it if I can wrangle these two. Look, Bella. This is Bella. She's my little girl. What do you see? And this is Lucky, and he's my little boy. And they were a bonded pair at the foster home. We think he was a puppy mill dog because we think he's purebred Maltese, and she's got some Shih Tzu in her. But they love each other. They are so together. They really are. We've had them, it'll be 3 years in July. So they're just wonderful to have. And they started off as rescues, which can be kind of difficult. Because rescues can have problems sometimes. I know, sweetie. Here. Because they've been abused. Maybe they were abandoned. You know, you really don't know. Neither one of them are good around men. Lucky had a lot, that he's down there laying down now. He had a lot of issues when we first got him. He would cringe. Anytime you went to pick him up or pet him or anything, he would just, knowing that there was going to be somebody to hit him. Can't believe how people can treat sweet little dogs. And Bella, we had a hard time getting her to open up to us. But we finally did. And she's just my sweetheart now. I highly recommend, if you want a dog, get a rescue dog, go to the pound, go to the Humane Society, Animal Protection Services, whatever, so that you can give a little dog some love, because that's all they want to do. That's all they want to do is be safe, be fed, and be loved, right? Oh, she looked at me like, I don't know what you're doing, but you better put me down. That's my baby. Do you want to go lay down? Here you go. Good girl. But prior to their excitement, I was talking about books, and I am now reading The Bees. And do you know who wrote that one? They've been listening along with me because when I'm at home crafting, sometimes I'll just put my audiobook that's on my phone and listen to it. And the author is Laylene Paul. Sorry. My daughter had heard somewhere that bees was like Game of Thrones with bees. No, it's not. There you go, baby. It is, there is some palace intrigue within the hive, but this is a story told by Flora 717. She's one of the bees in the hive. And it's really interesting, because I think it's, obviously we don't know what goes on inside of a beehive, but it's an interesting imagination of how things might be. So I'm greatly enjoying it. The Bedford Old Liberty Fair that I went to yesterday, which was August 17th. Today's August 18th. Figured that out on my own. I'm really proud. The Fiberfest yesterday in Bedford was smaller than the Sanford, North Carolina Fiberfest I went to last weekend. It was smaller, but they had alpaca. And I'm going to do my little normal slideshow at the end, but they really had an alpaca with a mustache. His face, okay, I will freely admit, the guy could have stood there with a magic marker and drawn it on before I got there. Could be. But it looked like the fibers that were growing out of his little face were brown, and he had a little mustache. So I will post pictures at the end. One of the farms had their alpaca there that had just been shorn, and then the other farm had not been shorn, and they are shorn once a year. I asked, and it was really neat to see them. Wouldn't it be great to be able to live somewhere that I could do that? And that would be, I would be a shepherdess. I'd have to get one of those border collies, though, because they are really cool. This was more of a rural Fiberfest. There were more finished items rather than as much fiber and yarn, I think. But for a smaller venue, it was great. And it was sponsored by the Lions Club, and they were there working it. And so it was definitely for a good cause. I saw several pretty things. My grandson saw a Kirby hat, and he wanted me to buy it. But what is it that knitters and crocheters say whenever they see a finished item? I can make that. So now I've committed to make him, it looks like a pink pig, but he says it's Kirby. So I'm like, okay, if you say so, honey. I think that's about it. I wanted to really talk about the mindful crochet or knitting or spinning or weaving or whatever you're doing. The Fat Squirrel Fibers, and she does the Fat Squirrel Speaks podcast. I highly recommend, because she is hilarious. Amy Beth is her name, and she's just she's just silly as she can be, but you can tell she knows so much about understanding the construction of garments and the way the knit stitches work together. And she's very prolific with her projects, and she also makes really nice bags. Yes, it's possible I may have ordered one of her bags at her last shop update. Yes, these things happen, but now I have fiber. I have to have bags for my fiber, right? Yes. I've had people join the group this week, and I'd like to say welcome. Thank you for coming. I hope you've enjoyed what you've watched so far. My friend on Google Plus, Dixie, did kind of her own podcast answer to mine. And it was really nice to see what she was working on. And she did a shout out to me in my podcast. So, hey, Dixie. She's a writer, so I'm just a talker right now. So, a talker and a knitter and a crocheter and a spinner and a lover of dog babies. And I'm enjoying this. I hope you are too. I really do. So, we're supposed to have, yes, for those of you, I can hear there was somebody? Yes. We were supposed to have the drawing for the free yarn today. But there are only, I think, 6 or 7 people signed up the last time I looked. And I'd really like that to be a bigger number. I will try to post about the giveaway more places this week, and so we can maybe get more people to be involved. And all you have to do to sign up, if you're not, is go join our Ravelry group, the gojenn podcast group, and there's a thread there that's a double digits celebration. You just go in there and just leave a post saying what you think I should do to get more viewers or followers or whatever. And that's all you have to do. And then I will do that next week, whether we have 5 people or 10. Okay? All right. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you have the time to do some mindful crafting. I know that we all have lives of constant interruption. If you have children, I understand. You may only have 15 minutes awake after the children go to bed. I know what that's like. Been there, done that. And now I do get to sleep a lot more. But try to practice some mindful crafting this week, okay? I wish you a week full of love and laughter. And I'll see you next week. Bye.